What's up, people? Denny here. Oh, I'm so stoked about my guest today. I finally, after stalking her for a few years. Inadvertently stalking, by the way, she didn't know. Celisse Henderson, she's a fantastic musician, songwriter, Broadway actress. My girl does it all. You're like the
That was juggling if you didn't.
You got it. Juggling what, though? What are we juggling?
Oh, so many things. You said. Thanks.
I'm a big fan. And you know what's so funny is I met you 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah. 2 or 3. I really have no concept of time. So
I don't either.
Literally could have been last weekend.
It was last week. I was making this whole thing up.
Yeah, but like 2 or 3. Closer to 3 probably, because that's when, isn't that still when Brian and Megan lived here?
Oh, oh, that's right, because Megan Hilty, Brian Gallagher, those guys were performing. You were performing with them, and another good buddy of ours, Tyler Francavilla, who's another great musician. Yeah. Love these. You guys had like the dream team up there.
Yeah, it was pretty dreamy. Sure.
It was fun.
Yeah.
So I went to the concert to see all these guys, and then after watching Celisse play, which we're gonna have her obviously do, and you guys are gonna be like, damn, I see what you're talking about. We just hit it off. I love talking with you. I think as a person, she's super fun, which you'll obviously figure that out. As a performer, you talk about dreamy. You just perform and you just go into another, go into another place. So you can take people out of that moment, which I think music should be able to do, and you're a person that can do that. So tell me, just when did you start getting into music?
Oh my gosh.
The obvious. I'm starting with the obvious.
No, yeah. There was never a time I wasn't into music, right? I tell people I was like literally born into a bed of music in my family. Both of my parents are music teachers. My father was a double undergrad in piano performance, vocal performance, masters in choral conducting.
Wow.
My mother, a double undergrad in violin performance, vocal performance, masters in choral conducting. So like really high level musicians.
Yeah.
So I have two siblings, and they had all of us, and I started taking violin lessons when I was 2, which people don't believe, but it's true. There are pictures.
2-year-old. You could be
good. I just stood there. You know what I mean? People are always like, they don't believe me. I'm like, you could put any 2-year-old in a violin lesson. They won't do anything.
Just
Literally, I think I played hot cross buns for like
that's the thing, right?
2.5 years. But yeah, like music has always been a huge part of my life with my family.
You literally were born into music.
Yeah.
Your other siblings, do they play? Do they sing as well now? Keep it up?
They don't. I'm the only one that did it, went into it professionally.
Sure.
But my older sister plays violin, sings. My younger sister plays piano, sings. Like everybody, it's like a family affair.
And where'd you guys grow up?
All Northern California. So I tell people Oakland, San Francisco, but really like we're raised in Oakland for a bit, but then lived in the suburbs, sort of more northeast, like Sassoon, and then we were in Antioch and Concord, all very random parts of like...
Annie Oakley? Wait, what?
No. Yeah, it might as well be, but yeah.
And how long did you guys live in Northern California for?
So my parents, all of my family is still in Northern California.
Oh, really?
I'm the one that left, yeah. My parents are both in Pleasanton still. I have one sister who's also in Pleasanton, the other sister is in Livermore, and yeah.
You go back to visit them?
I do. If you ask them, not enough, but I go back.
All parents. We were talking about parents in love earlier. They all are going to say it's not enough.
Like, I gotta live. I gotta work.
They gotta love watching you play though and perform and come seeing you do the shows, right?
Yeah. No, it's funny because it's like, because it's been such a part of my life, our life for so long. It's cool when they come and they're really impressed by something. Not that I don't think that they're unimpressed necessarily, but like they're hard critics, so they know, you know what I'm saying?
I know, yeah.
General parent who's like in finance.
Do you get annoyed sometimes if you're like, this is amazing, they don't kind of see it? They don't kind of like get it?
No, not annoyed, but definitely like, my dad teaches at the collegiate level. He's a college professor, and my mom has always taught either grade school or high school.
Right.
So their styles are very similar to the mediums that they teach. Or my mom is sort of like enthused by anything. Like I literally could get up on stage and like take a poop, and she'd be like, ah! Or my dad is just used to being like a little more critical because he's from like the collegiate. You know what I mean?
He's like, you need more protein in your diet.
You know what I mean? But they're both they're both super supportive, and they just aren't.
That's
they
cool.
aren't the type to. They're not impressed by everything, even though they love everything. Does that make sense?
Totally. Because they're a part of it for so long, and they know like, oh, this is different. This is what we're seeing.
Yeah,
you know, we've seen everything you do.
Yeah, right. Totally.
And I know you, Celisse has worked with, you've worked with Joss Stone. You worked with Tracy Chapman, Melissa.
No Tracy Chapman.
No Tracy Chapman?
Yeah, no Tracy Chapman.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right, well, give me one reason now. Obviously, we'll talk about the guitar in a little bit, but Melissa Etheridge, right?
And Joss Stone is so funny because Joss Stone, where did you read that? That must be on some bio somewhere.
I do my research.
Well, Joss Stone was kind of an extension of a Melissa Etheridge thing. I'll tell you this story later, but I met Melissa Etheridge, I guess now it'll be 2 years ago in October.
Oh, wow, okay.
And I play with this drummer, this guy named Brian Delaney, who's an amazing drummer I played with with my own music projects here in New York for a long time. And I ran into him on the street maybe 3 or 4 months before this particular leg of her tour was going to launch, and she was coming out with a record called Memphis Rock and Soul, and it was covers of these like amazing R&B Stax tunes.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I think they're going to have backgrounds, and I just kind of randomly was like, well, cool, like if we're looking for people, like I'd love to be considered, whatever. And then sort of long story short, he sort of came back to me and was like, actually, like, I'm going to pass your info along. Are you cool with that? And I ended up getting the gig to sort of be in charge of the background singers in every city. Like, I was the singer that traveled every city, and then we picked up 2 singers every city that we went to do.
Oh, wow.
Shows. So it was like,
that's awesome.
It's a lot to manage.
But isn't that cool, though, that you, hey, just if you need me, you know, I'd love to work with you, and then it comes back.
But that's how I was just talking with the makeup artist earlier about this, that like, I think people get so caught up in like, how do I get to the next level? How do I get connected? How do whatever? And the truth is, in my experience, it's doing a good job and being like a nice and pleasant person in every situation, because even if you don't know it, there's always a connecting piece.
Yeah,
I will get called about something from some connection from 10 years ago.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is like crazy and random and also like pretty fitting. You know what I mean? And kind of speaks volumes about her too, because I learned sort of after the fact that she's like, she trusts the people that she hires so much. She's like, listen, I trusted Brian and he loved you. So I was like, okay, cool.
That's a big word. You hit on a big word. I think trust is, it's being able to trust people you're working with. And I talk to so many people, and trust is huge. If you can trust somebody or vibe with that person, I think you're definitely gonna, you know, work together at some point.
Yeah.
Or see each other. Hey, she's gonna kill it.
Yeah.
Well, just when we're talking about people, I know one of my favorite things. I'm at home watching the Grammy Awards, hanging out, right? Got the speakers on, I'm into it. Kesha comes on, she's singing is it Pray? Mm-hmm. So her new song, Pray is out. Pray or Prayer? Praying.
Yeah.
It was one of them.
Yes.
She was praying, Kesha's new song. All of a sudden, I'm watching it, into it. There's my girl Celisse over there just singing with Kesha and nailing it. Wait, you gotta tell me about that experience. How was it? How'd you get it? Just tell me about that whole thing.
I mean, it was wild. First, going right back to what we just said, I was hired through somebody because I knew someone and had worked with someone,
Sure.
you know. Her music director is a pal, but really the music director's wife, amazing singer-songwriter and session singer and just actress, just amazing human being named Shayna Steele. You know, we've sung together for years. We've done session work together and have been choirs together and done wedding gigs together.
Sure.
And, he needed to contract, I think it was like another, I don't know, 4 or 6 singers like the week before the performance. And, you know, he called because I'm sure Shayna was like, oh, Celisse would be the right fit. And so the call was just through somebody I knew.
Yeah.
And
were you stoked? You had to be stoked, right?
yes, it was wild. I
Yeah.
mean, it was amazing. And it was sort of like, I mean, being in Madison Square Garden at the Grammys was just sort of like, it was just also wild. And coming out to me, sort of part of the most exciting moments of that night were coming out on stage and you look out to the front row and it's like, oh, that's just a casual Beyonce. Like literally right there.
Yeah, a casual.
Beyonce. There's Jay-Z. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, no, but I mean, but yes,
that part was just very surreal, and it was cool, and it was really informative too, because you sort of learn in a situation like that, like how it all comes together.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the amount of like crew men and women that are they're literally the ones making the magic happen. It's
Totally.
Like we're ending up in a spot and just sort of
doing like tonight. We just ended up in these spots.
But like the amount, like look how many people are in this room that made it possible for us to sit. So imagine like the Grammys at Madison Square Garden. There's so many
hundreds
caring and loving hands that like make that happen. It's just freaking awesome.
I always say that too. About you talking about that. No, I love the people behind the scenes. I mean, loving the crew. I mean, because without them, like you said, it
doesn't happen.
We look like doo-doo.
That's right.
But that's such a rad experience, and one that, you know. But give me too when the crowd. I love, you know, you feed off energy from the crowd when you're performing and singing. I do, and I love that feeling. Now you have, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. That's a huge place.
That was huge. Funny enough, not to brag. It's gonna sound like a humble brag.
Brag, baby.
Madison Square Garden is like 12,000 or somewhere between like I think 10 and 12. I think it up at something in that range.
I think it's in the 20s, right?
Maybe
20s?
I don't know.
20s?
I think it's a little less than 20. And the only reason why I remember this is I asked whatever the capacity was, thinking like, oh, this must be the biggest place.
Around.
Performed, and whatever the number was, it was less than when I did a gig with PHISH at the MGM, which was 25,000 people. So, and I will also tell you too, I mean, the interesting thing about the Grammys is that they have to block out a section of the house, right, for this, because you guys are looking at the stage, but then behind the stage, there are all these seats blocked out so that when a number is on stage, you have the next two numbers of people like sitting in you know what I'm saying?
Totally, yeah.
So we also didn't feel the full capacity of it, but from what I understand, I was looking at, maybe it was more and I was only looking at 10,000 people.
Right, but it was a lot. You were looking at a lot of people.
Yeah. But somebody said that and I was like, oh, well I guess at the MGM it was like 25,000, so this is a little smaller than what
But does that bother? That wouldn't bother me if there's 100,000 people or 10,000 people.
No, I don't feel. People have talked a lot about like, or a lot of people that I know will feel a different way about a theater of 5,000 people, let's say, versus, you know, a smaller stadium of 10,000 people versus an arena of 25,000 people. What I thought was interesting at the MGM with PHISH was like, it just feels like you can maybe see 10 to 15 rows in.
Right.
And then everything else, it just is like a wall of sound. You just feel like you're surrounded by sound.
And you can't see out there because of the lights. You can't see anything.
Really take it all in. And part of that could have been like the lighting design of what their particular show was too. But I mean, that was wild. That's in no way to like downplay. It felt different than a 3,000 seat theater. It does, because you're like,
right, you can
like
see
everywhere
that.
you look,
there's humans.
People are stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked.